amazing that everyone's just been so lovely about the show. It's great. I'm loving it.
Well,
It's been
it
amazing.
is fantastic. I binged watched it over the weekend, and I got to tell you, my friend, I pretty much ugly cried through the entire thing.
My gosh, it's a roller coaster though, isn't it? I mean, I think a lot of people have had exactly the same reaction. It's just like 1 minute you're laughing and then the next minute you're crying and then you're crying again and then there'll be a little bit of laughter again. It's just it's so unpredictable, isn't it? It kind of just sort of knocks you for six. And I think that's kind of a given because of what we're talking about in the
Yes.
show and sort of everything that the characters are experiencing. But I think from what a lot of people have said to us is that it's because everyone's just like really invested in the characters, and like we're so happy about that because like we love being these characters, like we love them, like we love their friendship, and it feels like that everyone's kind of been able to sort of like share that friendship with us. So that's really like warming to
Yeah.
know.
Absolutely. I wanted to ask you, how much did you even know about this time period? From what I understand, it's not really taught in schools. I find that unbelievable.
It is unbelievable, isn't it? It's so sort of significant in our history and globally, but of course, speaking about the UK specifically, it really is ignored in the curriculum and what kids are learning at school. um but because of that sort of like erasure of it at school, it meant that everything that I knew about it came from like films or telly or just like pop culture. And I knew about Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
I always remembered those images of Princess Diana, reaching out and shaking the hand, and all the work that she did at the Lighthouse Center, um and things like Rent.
Sure.
I was a proper like musicals kid, and it was one of the first sort of like shows that I remember sort of one of the first shows that kind of like got me into this, but also like one of the first things that I remember seeing that kind of like really sort of like spotlighted like what HIV/AIDS was. So because of that, it just sort of meant that I was having to go away and do a lot of research, as we all were, just to sort of like flesh it out and really bring it home to us as to what was happening in the UK. Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of the stuff that I knew was kind of like from like a sort of like a US kind of lens or narrative.
Understood. The chemistry between the friends in this show, I think that's what gets me the most, and what a close knit group they were, especially working with Lydia West, who plays Jill. Like, I mean, honestly, what her character does for the group is just, tell me just a little bit about working with this group and how you guys didn't break into tears after every scene. Seriously.
Well, sometimes like sometimes it did. And sometimes you're grieving in a scene and then you cut and then the tears just keep coming. It's like a bit of a flood sometimes, and I think we needed that. And so sometimes I'd wake up and I'd look at the call sheet and I'd see what scenes I'd check in with what scenes we were doing, and I kind of go, oh gosh, it's that today. And you've done everything that you can do before to sort of like get ready for that stuff. But even I'm thinking about episode 3 in particular, like
Yeah.
things like when Jill gets that phone call at the end of episode 3, and then also for me it was like clearing out all of Colin's stuff in his room. And
Oh,
I remember going into that and I was just like thinking in my head, like as much as it's Colin,
yeah.
because I love these guys so much, I was just like, Callum. I was just like, Callum, like when you have these images of those people in your head, it's just so it's so hard to not feel like really closely connected to it all. So yeah, it was
Absolutely.
difficult in that sense, but that part of it aside, like we also just like had the best time together. I love them all. They're also fun, also giving and generous and just amazing. They're
Yeah,
just
it's just
amazing
wonderful to
people.
watch. And the scenes that you have with Stephen Fry too. I mean, how do you not learn from an actor like that?
I know, exactly. And,
Yeah.
and learn from him in every sense of the word, like just as being an artist like on the set, but then equally he is a fountain of knowledge. I mean, everyone knows that, but he shared a lot of stuff with me. And I was just constantly in awe of him. I feel like I'm always like hypnotized when I listen to him speak, because like he's just so fascinating, and thinks and sort of like muses over things like so deeply, and it's never not interesting, and he just has such an interesting outlook on everything. And
Yeah.
of course like has an experience of living through the 80s, and he talks about that stuff with me as well.
Absolutely. Well, you are just fantastic in this. Roscoe is just such an inspiration. Honestly, you did such a wonderful job. And what a pleasure to have the opportunity to talk to you today, Omari. Thank you so much for
Thank you
this
so
series
much.
and for your time today. Thank you so much.
Much appreciated. Thank you.